markup language. Okay, we cannot call HTML as programming language because here actually we don't write programs, but we create the web pages making use of markups. Markups means here we write our code in the forms of tags. Like here, this is an example of coding HTML. Now here you can see we have given everything in angular brackets, and these are called tags. So when we have to design the web pages, for that we make use of HTML. We know what are web pages. Any page that is displayed on our web, that is the web page, and they are coded using HTML. And then you can learn CSS also to improve the formatting and everything, but the basic thing required for putting our web page code is HTML. So HTML basically describes the structure of web pages. That is where we have to put an image, where text has to be there, where text should appear above the image. All these things can be done using the HTML. So for writing the proper structure of our web page, we need to make use of HTML. Now, like if I talk about the Google or if I talk about the Facebook, all these pages are simply the web pages and they are created using HTML only. Now what all we can do using the HTML? Using HTML we can put the images on our page. We can mix up the text and images. As you can see here, we have certain text placed over the image. So all these things can be done using this HTML. We can set the size of the image. We can give the borders to the images. Everything can be done using the HTML. Next thing that we can do using HTML is, like on many of the HTML pages, you would have seen something like this, the text which has certain underline, that is nothing but the hyperlink. Now what is this? When we click on this particular link, it will lead us to some other page. So such kind of linking or links can be created using HTML. And then we can create different types of lists using HTML. We can create unordered list and we can create ordered list as well. In case of unordered list, some bullets are used, whereas in case of ordered list, we can specify the numbering and we can also specify the type of number that is to be used or type of bullets which are to be used. So different kinds of lists can be created using HTML. Next thing that we can do is we can create tables. Okay, like when we have to store certain tuples or certain records, we can present them in the form of tables. And for tables again, we can do different types of formatting. We can provide the borders to our tables. We can specify the font of the content in the table, or we can apply certain background image to our table. Like here we have a table which has certain background image. So these kind of different tables can be created using HTML. And then the most important one is that we can design different forms using HTML tags again. Like this is an example of a form. So we will learn that how to code for text boxes, option buttons, check boxes. These different types of tools can be given on an HTML form. So all these things can be done using HTML. And for your course, which is going to be for 10 days, these things will be covered. We'll first start with basics of HTML. Like right now we discussed that it can be used for creating web pages and what are other features for HTML. Then we will see how we can perform the formatting of web pages. Formatting means what would be the color of the text, what would be the size, it has to be bold or italic, okay, how to differentiate a paragraph, how to create these things, new lines, and everything will be um, discussed under this HTML formatting. And then we will see how we can insert images in our HTML page and how we can do the alignment of images, formatting, everything will be discussed. And then we will learn how to create HTML links like hyperlinks which will lead the control to some other web page. HTML tables will be discussed, and then HTML frames. Using framing, what we can do, we can divide our web page into different parts which will be called frames. So those creation of frames will also be discussed in this course. And finally we will learn how to create HTML forms. So that's all about HTML. Pooja?